Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of the Virtual Ninja Show. My name is Heike and I have Tiander back with me. Tiander, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiander. I'm a principal product manager for the SIM and XDR offering that we have, and I'm so delighted to be back on this new episode. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And you know, I have you back because more and more people from the Sentinel world are moving into the XDR world. And we want to show them all the greatness, how they can use Defender XDR portal to do their investigations. And of course, touch on a few things that are new to them and also new to the people that have been in the portal for a little while. So I think let's get right into the portal and have a look how you, Tiander, for instance, would start your day and check around what's available in the incidents and how you would structure a little bit your work on an incident.
Yep, amazing. Let's switch over to the demo. So the homepage is great to adjust anything you would like with the cards. We talked about that in previous episode. But how my day is starting actually is I typically go to incidents. I'm the SOC analyst, right? And depending on which assignment I have today, I typically would filter on the specific workspace that I'm working on, the customer workspace. And as you can see here, I have created a filter, so you can add filters if you would like. So I have several filters here that I can pick and choose from, and I can save them. So this is how my view is going to be each and every day. And I can pick a couple of workspaces that I'm going to monitor, maybe customer workspaces that I'm assigned to, or maybe my company workspaces. So I can select and deselect specific workspaces.
Tiander, so I'm from the XDR world, have no clue about your workspaces.
Right,
So
right,
what
right.
are workspaces? And what's in a workspace?
Right. So a workspace is kind of a Sentinel concept. A workspace is the kind of storage, if you will. I'm going to simplify it a little bit, where all the Sentinel data resides in. So if you have data connectors or if you have agents, everything is going to be stored into what we call a log analytics Azure Monitor workspace.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by this unification, we bring in the SIM world and the XDR, the Defender world together. We talked about this. And now in the unified portal, you can see Sentinel data, which is represented by the workspace. But that's not completely accurate today because now what I'm seeing here is the unification of those incidents. But the focus for me, I can set the scope, if you will, that's a better word, to specific workspaces. I could have multiple workspaces. And it's a good question, Heike. Allow me to show you a setting.
Yeah.
So if I go to the portal and I scroll all the way down, I can see here the settings, right? And if I click on the settings, I can see Microsoft Sentinel representing here the settings for Sentinel. And I click on this. And what that allows me to do is to configure a couple of things based on the workspaces. And now you can see that I have now two workspaces connected. I could actually connect a third workspace if I wanted to and click on connect workspace. And now I can have multiple workspaces connected. So multiple data sources from the Sentinel side are now being connected and are being unified.
Remind me again. So if you connect them, it means that the data will still reside in the workspaces in Azure, but it will be displayed and taken care of also in the XDR portal. So you have the correlation with all those events and so on. Okay.
Correct. So we do unify the incidents, right? It's not that we do kind of duplicated efforts, but we unify the incident. So in the unified portal, you will have one single incident that might come from XDR, it might come from Sentinel, might come from somewhere else, maybe an external data source, and we combine it in one single incident. And the workspace is the data that we're leveraging behind the scenes as well.
Mm-hmm. And the question is then also if the incident correlates data across multiple workspaces, or is this incident plus this one workspace, which wouldn't make.
We correlate the events based on the workspace itself and the tenant as a whole. So that's the boundary of correlation that we use. And
Mm-hmm.
correlation is also be referred to as merging incidents, just to get the correlation and the merge incident in under the same kind of topic.
Mm-hmm. And then you said, like, okay, you would prioritize the incident based on the workspace you are assigned to. So this is like a Sentinel concept.
A scope,
then,
if you will. I could set the scope to a specific workspace.
uh-huh.
So let's say I am an MSSP or I am a customer acting as an MSSP, meaning I have multiple customers, internal customers, and those reside potentially in different workspaces. I could then say, well, this is my shift, and today I'm going to work. Maybe I'm going to investigate an incident from a specific, they call it a member firm or operating company or specific teams. That's how I can kind of narrow down what I'm seeing in the portal.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's go back.
Yeah, let's go back to the incident, because you asked me how am I going to prioritize that I need to work on. So let's assume that I'm going to focus on one single workspace, and you can see that it affects the criteria here. And notice that I'm on a week, I could expand it to multiple ranges. And what I'm currently focusing is based on the text. That's my primary kind of way of looking at an incident. By the way, severity high means that, hey, I need to look at this, right? It's a high severity incident. Also, I can see the number of active alerts, and I can see that the unified portal Defender has already started some investigations, which is great. I didn't touch the incident yet. So when I open the incident, and by the way, this sounds a bit silly, but there are two ways to do quick triaging. One is just click on the empty space here. If I click on the empty space, it immediately opens up a flyout on the right, and I can see metadata. This is very fast, right? I can see impacted assets and all of that without even having to open it. And I can do actions, I can run a playbook, I can manage it, all of that, and I can even look at the activity log. So the activity log will show me what has happened on the incident already without me touching the incident. And now, because this is a merge incident, correlation kicked in, we also added a nice filter capability, which is to show the logs from the incident prior to merging or this
Wow.
incident, which is
Wow.
something that we added to kind of give more clarity to show what has a analyst done previously, because we got feedback, and we listened to feedback from the Ninja Show, from other sources that told us, hey, now that you've merged incident, we kind of lost the triaging efforts that we've done in the incident prior to merging, and this is the reason that we added a filter here.
And customers, because as you said, like, you need to click on that empty space. Those side panels or panes, I don't know how we call them exactly, but
flyouts. Yep.
Flyouts. They're so rich in information and in extra. So people should use them really more often, and we should show them more often, because there's like hidden gems in there.
Yeah, really. And that's the reason I'm pointing it out, right? Because normally I would have more incidents, right? But I could go quickly through all of them by just clicking here and boom, it shows up. What we got from customers were, well, it takes me time to triage the incident. Well, you can do clicking here, but if I click here, it takes a little bit longer because we're grabbing way more information, right? That's the whole difference here. Now, I wanted to show you a couple of things. First and foremost, notice the crown here. I'm going to zoom in for a second. Notice this nice crown here.
Yes.
This will indicate kind of a critical asset for me. So immediately I have visualization about, hey, this is something that I need to look into because this is a critical asset. The second thing is that you can see here is that I now see that I have a user who's contained because attack disruption kicked in and stopped the attack. That's the reason it's called attack disruption. So immediately I have a visualization in here. And also it shows me here the banner, attack disruption initiated a user contained action.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that what happened, I was test driving this. I did a bunch of naughty things in my environment. And I was working in a VM with all kinds of attack tooling. And suddenly it closed the connection to my virtual machine. I got kicked out, which I was like, oh, I'm not done yet, but I got kicked out. And this is the cause of attack disruption. It disrupted that attack. And I can go to the action center, as it says here, to kind of get more explanation why we did it. But the attack stopped. So that's the benefit of attack disruption.
I hear these stories more and more. I had another episode of someone had exactly the same. Tried to demonstrate something and kicked out. This is how it works. It should work, right?
Yeah, exactly. We talked in the last episode. We talked about correlation, right? Merging incident, and it keeps to be kind of a topic that shows up a lot, and we hear it a lot. And customers are asking, well, it's a great thing, and that's what we say as well, because it shows you the full attack story. If you look at the attack story, you see a bunch of alerts here, right? A bunch of events that I need to take care of. It's one single incident. You saw my queue pretty empty. What I showed a while ago, and I want to re-emphasize, if I'm not on the unified portal, and I'm just a Sentinel customer, I'm driving this, I have the XDR data connector, but I'm not in the unified portal. I wanted to show you how the incident queue would look from the Sentinel side. So I'm going to switch over to the Sentinel side. And what I wanted to show you is how the incident queue would look like if I'm not in the unified portal. Can you see how many alerts and incidents I have?
I tell customers it's better to go to the XDR portal.
Right. So even if I would go to the XDR portal and I'm not unified, I would still see a bunch of incidents. And what I'm saying here is that I would potentially, if I select all of the incidents, 30 incidents, potentially I could have 30 analysts looking at all these incidents instead of now being one SOC analyst looking at a unified incident. So that's the difference, right?
So those 30 incidents are in the XDR world, alerts and events may be correlated into 3 different incidents, because those are 30 incidents. It's a different term, I feel like.
Well, it's a different term, but still in the SOC world, in the SIM world, this would be a separate incident because I have an analytics rule similar to a detection, custom detection in the Defender world that I've configured to raise an alert and therefore raise an incident so that I have an incident that I need to triage and investigate.
And only in your demo, there is only always one alert in one incident, but you could
no, I could have multiple alerts depending how I would configure it. But remember that I have 30 incidents right here, right? And just for the sake of looking at it again, I have now alerts here that I'm going to kind of unify, right? This is the same attack.
There should be here anonymous IP address, exactly.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's and what I also wanted to show is we changed the wording based on feedback. So thank you viewers for giving feedback through a number of channels, because if I click on one alert, we changed the wording of a couple of things. First and foremost, if this is what we call a miscorrelation, it's falsely correlated. The 3 dots here, and I know we need to work on a better representation, but the 3 dots here will now show move alert to another incident. This might be tiny because it used to be link alert to another incident. And now we are clarifying we're going to move the alert to another incident.
Can one alert only be part of one incident?
So to answer your question, Heike, I can multi-select the alerts and I can move them in one go to a new or an existing incident. So the last thing I wanted to discuss and show is, let's say that I'm clicking on a specific alert. And what we also changed based on customer feedback is the wording, which is correlation reasons. Because it previously was worded something else, linked by or something like that, reason for linking. Now we are very clear on what we correlate and why. Just wanted to mention this really briefly.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So Tiander, just because you selected multiple alerts, and before we also talked about multiple tenants, and
Right.
I know this wasn't possible before, but now. So show me, how does this look like?
Okay. So we talked about multi-tenant, and I wanted to kind of revisit that for a second based on the integration with Sentinel. We talked about multi-tenancy. Let me show you a tiny bit on the MTO update. So first, when I am here in the homepage, I can select the different tenants, my organizations, right? I can pick those. But how it represents here is that I can have a couple of workspaces here. So I could have multiple tenants, but also I can have multiple workspaces. This is similar to what I just showed, but then with multi-tenant, multi-workspace. Because the filter capability allows me to have tenant names here, and I
Mm.
selected the workspaces. So now you can see if I add this that I can select on the tenant. I have two tenants right here, and I can select multiple workspaces right here. And that reflects also the hunting capability. So if I go here, I have now tenants, but also workspaces. So I
Wow.
can go ahead and edit the selection if I wanted to. And then this is now more expanding the hunting capability across multiple tenants, multiple workspaces.
So this is now multiple Sentinel tenants.
Multiple Sentinel tenants which have multiple workspace underneath them.
So are these tenants different from the XDR tenants? No.
The tenants are not different, but now we have the multi workspaces underlying. So what this is, and I want the audience to realize what we're talking about, is multi-X. Multi-X means multi-tenants, multi-workspace.
Mm-hmm. And the beauty is you can now do your hunting queries across all these data sources. Wow.
I can do unions across the query if I wanted to.
And I want to remind people, advanced hunting, once you create your query, you can save it and create a custom detection. So basically,
Yes.
against multiple tenants and multiple workspaces, you get your custom alert or even your response action based on your query and actions. Wow, across
Yeah.
these. Yeah. I think, of course, we have customers, they have multiple tenants, might be historically or might be logically, geographically, whatever the reason is for multiple tenants and workspaces. And then, of course, our MSSPs that, have multiple customers to manage.
This is exactly the MSSP scenario that we're now entering, right? With multi-tenant, multi-workspace. Correct.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow, this is great. So I think now, Tianda, let's go back into the XDR portal and have a look at a few other extra things that we changed maybe in the UI for our users. I see there is
Yes.
something on the refresh button.
Yes. Oh, that's a great catch. So this button here, right, will be updated. You can see the blue circle
Mm-hmm.
here, and that indicates that now there's information has been changed on the incident. So this is a brand new button that we are rolling out as we speak. And you can also see, well, it's not that clear, but this is now in bold. This was not bold, and now
Ah,
it's in bold. So if I have, let's say, 10 incidents, then this will be the only incident that is in bold. So if I click on refresh, let's see what did change. Maybe the ownership changed. Let's see, status unassigned, right? If I click
yeah.
on refresh, it will now show that it has been assigned to me. So that's the indicator.
But I don't see exactly what has changed, or will I see this in the activity log?
This you will see it in the activity log.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
so if I
Mhm.
click on the flyout and I open the activity log, you will then see the incident was assigned and the severity was changed.
Okay, and if there is like, let's say 20 incidents and they all have been changed in Sentinel, I could still say refresh them all.
Yes. Yeah. The whole thing is now more clear. What I also wanted to show, and this, if the viewers are from the Sentinel side, I wanted to show something that you might have missed. If I open the incident, or I could use the flyout panel, there's now here a task.
Ah.
So similar to Sentinel tasks, I can click on it and I can add a task. I can say investigate malicious IP. I used that the last time. I can assign it. I can status in progress that I need to assign it with a due date, specific categories. It needs to be triage and a description, closing notes, and then I can save it. Now, this is a task that has been assigned to this incident. So each and every time I can add multiple tasks, and as you would have done it in Sentinel, but also we are in public preview for cases. So cases is a brand new concept in the unified portal. If I click on it, you can see that I can create a new case. So create a case and I can give it a name and I can have
Mhm.
it as assignment. And then based on, let's say, Ninja case and new all of that, I can save it. And then based on this, I can go ahead and link one or more incidents. So I can go ahead and link incidents here. If I wanted to, I can manage the case if I wanted to, but the tasks are also here. So let's say that I have multiple incidents in one single case, then I can go ahead and add tasks for each and every one of those or each and every single alert in that case.
Wow. Okay. I know that this is the beginning of our journey. This is the first steps of allowing customers already to see what we are working on
Yep.
and not waiting until it's a full blown case management system. So I think this is great. And more is coming. So, and then if you created a task with a due date, will then a notification show up in your bell over there, or how will I get notified that, hey, I'm overdue?
So we are going to work on multiple ways to manage this and to service this. So this is coming. We're currently in public preview, so things will move very fast. So you will see those developments coming. I'm going to talk about something else, right? You've noticed that I've a phone is stolen in Madrid.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, that's bad. And this is not based on an existing incident. I just created an empty case
Hmm.
and I signed it. And I've also all kinds of tasks here. So we need to block the SIM card, all of these, right? This is not related to an existing alert or existing incident. What is going to be interested if this user who silly lost his phone in Madrid is now going to be correlated with maybe an unfamiliar sign in. That's going to be interesting, right? So
Yes, I think, the user reports a stolen or lost phone, and you can proactively already take action, right? So
yep.
you can say, and track it, of course, and say, yes, block the SIM card, check out weird user behaviors or something.
Yep.
So, Tianda, thank you so much. You showed me many more things, and I hope also other people that are either new to the portal or already using the portal in their way. So, there's a lot of gems here and gems there. And I hope I will see you next again when you bring few more enhancements or new features that we have been developed, because I know there's constant movement with our development team. And until then, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. See you soon. Bye.